So it's time for Mark Henry to take on Cody Rhodes. How do you think this one's going to go? Henry comes out to a mixed reaction, but it was something of a pop. If this is an attempted face turn, then this week achieved nothing towards that. In fact, in Mark Henry's presence on Raw, nothing was furthered by tonight, which I kind of like because I don't want to see Mark Henry pushed. That's a terrible idea. But tonight did nothing to further his push, really. I don't think, anyway. I think it just kind of left him in the same position he was in before. This was a vicious squash. Henry dominated for about 30 seconds. Rhodes, I think, kicks him in the face or something and goes up top. Henry catches him off the crossbody and hits the world's strongest slam. That's right, hits the world's strongest slam within about a minute, and Rhodes rolls out the ring and runs away up the ramp and gets counted out. That's it. What? Pointless. Totally pointless. There was no need for this to happen. And then next up we have Randy Orton against Ted DiBiase Jr., which I kind of felt sorry for Cody Rhodes in this point, because never thought I'd say that, but Rhodes and DiBiase are equally dreadful, I would say. I mean, they're both awful. So why is it that DiBiase gets this match where he gets to look pretty strong against the WWE champion, and Rhodes gets a vicious squash that he runs away from? I don't really think that's fair. Orton dominates this match largely, which is good. It makes the champion look strong. Orton doesn't get to look strong very often, not as often as he should do. DiBiase, fires back occasionally, and Orton regains control. Now, this match was quite dull. It wasn't bad, but it was unsurprisingly quite dull, at least to begin with. DiBiase fired up with a couple of very simple roll-ups, but it was nice to see him sort of trying to get some offense against the champion, and Orton, gets a bit frustrated. Then something that annoyed me happened. Orton hits that really vicious DDT off the second rope, and DiBiase really implausibly kicked out. Nobody should kick out of that move. That's a finisher if ever I saw one. More offense happens. Orton does a knee drop. I didn't think I'd ever be commenting on a knee drop, but I love Orton's knee drop. He gets such fantastic elevation when he does it. It looks beautiful. Such a simple move, but executed so well. Triple H hit a knee drop later in the evening, I think, that was shit by comparison. Yeah. This goes on for a while, back and forth, and DiBiase hits a power slam, and I noted something at this point. Michael Cole has worked as a commentator for World Wrestling Entertainment for over a decade. Michael Cole apparently doesn't know what a power slam is. As a wrestling fan, I learned what power slam was within my first 2 weeks of watching wrestling. It's not scoop slam, Cole. It's not fucking scoop slam. How can you possibly not know that? How can you possibly get those two things confused? I want your job. I could do it better than you. Anyway. This moves along a bit, and then Orton, there was a nice sequence to end the match. This was nice. Orton is set up for Dream Street off DiBiase, and he counters into an arm drag over and nips into the RKO for the win. This was alright. Wasn't anything special, but it was nice to see Orton look strong. And I don't really want Ted DiBiase Jr. to get pushed. He's not very good. But we'll see. Backstage segment with Triple H and Josh Matthews, and Triple H says, if you want to define the word epic, all you need to do is put Triple H and John Cena in the ring together. I disagree with that. As far as I'm concerned, Hunter, there's nothing epic about you except your unbelievable sense of self-importance. Next we have a segment in the ring. We have MVP's VIP Lounge. Now MVP is better on the mic than he's in the ring, and he's good in the ring, he's just really good on the mic. But I would rather see him wrestle right now because I think his push has kind of died. But this was quite a good segment, setting up a nice feud. This feud should be really good because Jack Swagger is his guest. MVP and Jack Swagger should be fantastic. That should be really, really, really good. Unfortunately, if those two are feuding, I really don't see MVP coming out on top, or even coming close to coming out on top. Swagger's getting a gargantuan push, and I can kind of see why. The guy's really good. But this should be some of the most entertaining in-ring action that Raw's seen in a long time. MVP calls Swagger a fraud for getting counted out against Orton. But Swagger says that MVP's the fraud because he's posing as an athlete when actually he's just a criminal who spent nearly a decade in prison, which is pretty harsh. But I mean, he did spend nearly a decade in prison. But MVP, does some good face promo here where he says, I did make those mistakes, but I'm man enough to admit them, and now I use my celebrity status to influence kids not to make the same mistakes I did. All this really obvious stuff, but it works, and MVP delivers it very well, and it gets the crowd behind him. The crowd haven't been anywhere near enough behind MVP. It's really pissed me off, and hopefully they're going to start getting behind him, and this is a good feud to do it. This was all quite good. MVP's mic skills are so much better than Swagger's that it was almost painful to watch. Swagger really needs to work on it because his promo sucks. But MVP gets right up in Swagger's face and says that unlike him, he's never been afraid of a fight. And at this point, there's a really nice MVP chant in the crowd, and I was loving it. MVP deserves these chants. The guy really has been working hard, and he's really good. And Swagger says he doesn't fight people below him, especially not criminals, and leaves the ring. So I like to see how this is developing. This was one of the best things about Raw because I'm looking forward to how it's going to pan out. Then we have a backstage segment with DiBiase Jr. and DiBiase Sr. And DiBiase Sr. says, it was a good performance. You're going to be WWE champion one day. And Ted Jr. says, you set me up to fail, and then slaps his father really hard. It looked really painful. We had a very strange match next, which should have been great, and it wasn't, between Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston. We had lots of nice pinning combinations early on, which was cool, that was good. And then, Jerry Lawler had been like, watch the high-flying offense you're going to see with this. And actually, was very grounded, very mat-based, lots of holds, kind of dull. Kingston runs into the corner and gets, I think he was supposed to get kicked in the face by Bourne to fall over, and then Bourne hits the shooting star press for the clean win, which, good to see Bourne get the victory. But Kofi Kingston is the United States champion. Maybe he should be getting the victory. I don't know. But this match was far too short. It could have used the extra minute that Mark Henry and Cody Rhodes took up, for example, and wasn't anywhere near as good as it should have been. I think these two are capable of much better. I know Evan Bourne's capable of much better. And then I was hoping maybe we'd get a rematch that would display their skills. And no, the Big Show appears and ruins everything, and totally demolishes Kingston and Bourne. Michael Cole. How is a right hand to the ribs patented? You can't patent a right hand to the ribs. Everybody does that. We have a Cena segment with Matthews next, but he doesn't say anything particularly interesting. And then we have Triple H and Cena wrestle. Jerry Lawler keeps saying about how the crowd are split between the two of them during this match, which is kind of true, but unfortunately the crowd are much further behind Triple H than John Cena, and much as I'm not a huge John Cena fan, I'd pick him over Triple H any day of the week. Literally nothing happens to begin this match. Then Cena goes into the ring post. There's some back and forth. Cena hits that terrible fisherman suplex he does, and then Triple H is in control for a bit and focuses on Cena's lower back. And then there's a point where Cena's just sort of lying on the ground, letting Triple H very slowly hit some rubbish offense on him. And Cole says, "This is where Triple H is so dangerous." Where, Cole? When his opponent is mercilessly jobbing for him? Is that where? Cena gets back up and hits the back suplex slam thing he does in the 5-knuckle shuffle. The crowd really don't like it. Triple H doesn't seem to spin on his spine buster anymore, which is, that was the only thing about that move that was even vaguely good. Then there's a horrible segment where they trade sleeper holds, which is always really dull and takes up an incredible amount of time. And then they do the whole trade punches thing where the crowd get behind one and cheer them when they hit a punch and boo the other, and Cena was getting booed pretty heavily at this point, which is a shame. Cena then hits the throwback and eventually goes for the STF, but can only lock it in once Triple H has got quite near the ropes and is able to break the count. This match is all about trading back and forth. I understand the logic in that, but a good wrestling match involves someone being dominated for a while and making a comeback, and then them dominating for a while and making a comeback. This constant trading was pretty dull, and I was kind of unimpressed by it, but I wasn't really expecting much more of Triple H and John Cena. It certainly wasn't epic. It was pretty boring. Legacy interfere, and Orton comes out and says that must be a double disqualification, so he won't have to face either of them at Night of Champions. But the $1 Million Man comes out and says his opinion's more important than Orton's this evening. So he thinks Orton says neither man won, but the $1 Million Man says neither man lost, so he makes it a triple threat in Night of Champions. That sounds terrible. Probably will be just as bad as it was at WrestleMania 24, and I don't see Orton winning that match again, which is a shame. I'm gonna pick Triple H to win that, unfortunately. But yeah, this Raw was not that good. I'm running out of time. Comment, rate, subscribe if you wish, and let me know your thoughts. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.